Charging. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the rant. Oh my gosh, this is weird.
This is weird. I'm so used to having like a computer monitor right in front of me, and everybody's like right here.
Yeah. So fascinating. So this is Reverend Steph St. Amand, known also as Saint Steph. And I'm Dr. Jonathan Zenz, and I'm the senior minister here at Unity of Tucson.
Right here, right here.
Reverend Steph is the senior minister of
One Love Awakening.
One Love Awakening.
Yeah.
Tell us about One Love Awakening.
We are a heart-centered and inspired community that meets online, and we have such an amazing opportunity to awaken love. We do meditations and classes and just deepen our understanding of how to love ourselves as well as loving everybody else around us.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, Steph is at the forefront of what lots of ministries are turning to, which is essentially completely online. Like you don't have a physical building, and your community is an online community that engages and takes classes from you, and I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, and we were online before 2020, just saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weren't we all?
Yeah. The cool kids have always been online.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back in the day when,
we can say
when
that.
was that? Yeah. You remember dial-up? Oh my goodness, we couldn't do what we do right now with dial-up.
So when we moved into this property, when I was hired to take over the senior ministry of Unity of Tucson, the internet connection here was still DSL.
Oh my goodness.
And so we would not have been able to do any kind of streaming over a DSL line because it's not fast enough. So we actually went and we worked really diligently to upgrade all the systems here so that we have a high-speed internet connection and we're able to do lots of video streaming. Grateful for that.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for technology. It really allows us to reach higher grounds. I mean, my community talks to people in Korea and Norway, and I wouldn't be able to do that without. Another thing I love about technology, I wouldn't ever have seen a baby elephant playing with a butterfly. I would never have seen that without somebody's ability to record that and get it to me through social media or whatever. So, elephants and butterflies, right?
Yeah. So the rant, we should talk about, that's kind of our introduction. So the rant is something that we've been doing for a little while. Normally, so Steph is from Winnipeg, Manitoba, up in Canada, and she's been saying repeatedly while she's been here, I'm so grateful that it's warm, and she goes and she stands in the sun. I can
feel the sun in my cheeks already, for sure.
And I'm here. We met in 2012 officially. Yeah. In person for the first time, and we were fast friends, and we've been besties basically ever since. When you were before your ordination in ministry as a religious science minister, I was actually your mentor. I had to sign off on her ordination.
Yeah.
And what that meant was we would have regular chats online, because that time I was still in Toronto. She was in
BC.
No, you were in BC.
I was in
That's
BC,
right.
Yeah.
And BC, British Columbia.
Yeah, sorry. Our Canadian jargon might get to you.
But we started having weekly chats, so I could, understand what was happening in her ministry, and that's kind of how this all started. We've been chatting consistently on a weekly basis since 2012.
Yeah.
And last year, we've been talking about doing some kind of online, like, hey, let's do something, and we started calling it the RANT. Radically Affirmative New Thought. And we kind of came up with all these production plans, and then, it's like, we can get this guest, and we can do this, and we kind of, it got so overblown that we kind of stopped ourselves in our own tracks. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. Two visionary A-type personalities with great ideas.
Yeah.
And so
then it all kind of got put on the back burner, and we just kept talking, and then one day I just said, you know what? If we're going to do this, we just need to do it.
Yeah.
And let's just make a commitment that on such and such date, we're going to go live, and we didn't prepare anything. And we just went live, and we just started having conversation, and it's kind of what we've been doing ever since.
Yeah.
So none of this is planned or prepared. What we end up usually doing is reaching out to those who are online. And if you're watching us online, here's the thing I also got to let you know. I'm going to look in this camera over here. If you're watching us online, we had a little bit of a technical issue today, which means we actually don't have access to see any of your comments today. We had tried to work out a plan to be able to see your comments, so I apologize that we won't be able to interact with you who are watching online. But we can interact with those of you who are in the room with us, and as we get to that point, there's a microphone here so that people online can hear. If you have any comments or questions or things that come up, just make your way up to the microphone, and we're happy to address that. So basically what happens is, what's on your mind? What would you like to have a radically affirmative new thought about? And that's really kind of where we always start. What do you want to talk about today?
I'm just glad to be in Arizona right now. Getting that sunshine, thawing out my Canadian bones. Oh, I'm feeling so good.
Yeah.
Wayne is watching. We know that for sure. Hi, Wayne.
Hi, Wayne.
He's the one that's commented. I do have my Facebook. This is Facebook on Unity's Facebook.
Okay.
Open.
Awesome.
Yeah, we usually also start half an hour early. We have a conversation beforehand and do our downloads for the week.
Yeah.
And spend time doing that. And this time I was outside.
Outside, as I was trying to address.
Sunning my cheeks.
Yeah.
And meeting some geckos. I've seen so much. Is it a gecko?
Probably lizards.
It's a little lizard.
Yeah.
It was wagging its tail when it saw me, and I was like, little guy. So I'm just...
And you saw coyotes this time.
I saw 2 coyotes. I've seen mourning doves, rabbits. Oh, yeah, nature. And really, why I love nature so much is because it's a divine thing. Everything that's unfolding here outside, when I look at the ground and see it move, when I'm in awe that 2 coyotes just walked by, it's such... it brings me to a place of just oneness and awe, because if this building wasn't here, they still would be, right? And so we have the freedom to build lavish experiences. We have that capacity. And it's in our divine nature to be that, to be our unique and unrepeatable thing, whoever we are, showing up, just like that rabbit knows exactly in Arizona where to find food. You know, oh my goodness, there's tons of rabbits in Winnipeg, Manitoba, right? It's a big city, and there's lots. Winnipeg is actually has the largest green space inside city limits, I believe, in North America.
That would make sense to me.
And so we have this beautiful opportunity to, even though be in city life and have all the comforts of that, like Starbucks drive-through, but we still get to go and forest bathe right in the middle of our city.
Yeah.
And what a beautiful opportunity you all have here to just be present. I mean, there's cacti out there older than all of us in this room. And there's something magnificent about that. And that same magnificent natural thing is in each of us to be who we are.
You mentioned the word awe, which makes me think of that Lisa Ferraro and Erika Luckett song. If you're not in awe, you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
I think it's a great refrain to walk through life, like remembering that everything is really extraordinary. You know, I think sometimes I think we duck our heads down, like we don't want to trip when we walk, right? Anyone want to trip when they walk? So we have a tendency, like if we're walking, we look down at the ground. But you know that if you actually lifted your gaze, you would see so much more of the world. And I try to remember to lift my gaze. Okay, so yeah. I was going to try to not mention the Camino today. But it was one of those things, you know, when you walk 480 miles across the north of Spain, to remember to look up and not just look at the path in front of you. Because it is extraordinary what you gaze upon. And if you have a willingness to understand it as all the construct and the outflow of a divine creative source, it helps me feel absolutely connected all the time. To really, really put my focus on awe to be in awe.
What's greater than being present?
Nothing.
Really?
Nothing at all.
Just being present.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, for the last few weeks, oh, Steph, you must be getting excited for your trip. I'm excited for the day I'm in right now.
Yeah.
This is the day I'm having. This is the day I woke up for. And yeah, being present, that's the greatest gift. Mm-hmm. I did notice my mom's watching. She found the right place.
Hi.
Hi, Mom. She loves the rant.
Just for you, I have books here. Just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Yes. Some good ones, too.
Yeah.
Divine Audacity.
Divine Audacity is one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
So is there anything that's coming up for you that kind of is striking you as something perhaps to consider today? Beryl.
Yes.
Here she comes.
I'm never shy.
No.
We have that in common, honey.
Yes. Everything that you've discussed this morning thus far, in this very short amount of time, which does not exist, is exactly what I have experienced in my own literal walk on the bike path this morning. I was really focusing on having my eyes up so that I could notice everything around, noticing the hawks, noticing, I didn't see a roadrunner this morning. I saw one yesterday on my bike, but I heard the cardinal and I heard all the different bird sounds because I have the ear for that. So, and then before I went out on my bike ride, I was doing a meditation suggested on Insight Timer, and it was how the Dalai Lama suggests meditating, and he was talking about finding the joy, the appreciation for all of the people it has taken to get me this far in my life. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just talking about the ones who are in my little circle. I'm talking about the ones who made my sneakers. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the ones who picked my food. I'm talking about the ones who, made every individual component for my car or my glasses that I'm wearing so that I can see you clearly. And I'm just filled with wonder and awe. And I know that you ranters are brilliant at weaving that into the message that you send out each and every week, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. An attitude of gratitude is most salutary and bespeaks the realization that we are now living in heaven. Do you know who said that?
No.
Ernest Holmes.
I could have guessed.
It was not RuPaul. No. I'll probably come up with a RuPaul quote, though. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love anyone else?
Yeah.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen. Hi.
Hi. My name's Harley, and I am new to all this.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like spreading it. I really feel like called to spread this in the world we're at. But being new to things, we have all these tools to affirm and bring our energy up, going from low energy to high energy. And what I'm experiencing is kind of like waves, and it feels like just big waves and crashing, and big waves and crashing, and big waves and crashing. And what I've heard and read and see and listened to is that's kind of like what it's like when you're trying to go from a low vibration to a high vibration, or new to or just maybe where we're at in the world right now. Mm-hmm. So the other thing is I'm, this week I had kind of a battle with hopelessness, and things are going great. I got this new community, and I got people I feel like are like vibing with me, or like see the way, or way showers, or those kind of things, right? But it seems like in the same moment, this wave crashes, and I'm stuck in this like hopelessness is the word that I literally had to pull out of anxiety and depression and grief and all the I lost my mom in August, so I've been a catch-all of grief, and everybody's like, well, give yourself time and give you all this self-compassion, and I'm just more of a go-getter or something. So my question is, it would be two parts, like, is there a way to be more level, or is this just how life's going to be? Number one. And number two, as you get into the new thought, or whatever we want to say our spiritual journey is, it seems like the outside world's pretty crazy. And I want to do my best to not make the crazy worse, but also maybe how do I, suggest things in a way, or like I talked about unity a bunch, and how do we do our best to give hope to the world? All I can know is when I feel hopeless, what's the opposite? It's like, so I know I need to work on hope, but any tips, tricks, that kind of, like those two, how do we share and how do we combat this like wave?
So I have some ideas.
Oh, yes.
I have two things that kind of come up initially. First of all, I oftentimes talk about hope, right? Y'all have heard me talk about hope, many of you. And I kind of go on my little rampage of saying, no, we need to move from hope to faith, and that's where we're really seeking to be. But I want to be really clear that if hope is where you're at, honor that. The philosophy, and let's just be clear, the philosophy states, and these are another memorized quote of Ernest Holmes, hope is good, it's better than despair. But it is an unconscious compromise with the infinite and has no place in an effective mental state, is essentially what he is saying. But if hope is where you are, love yourself in the hope. Because I also like to redefine hope as saying, hope is my endeavor to have only positive expectations. There I am with my acronym.
Acronym.
Love acronyms.
Write that down.
Having only positive expectations. So that's where I would say, honor where you are.
Yes.
The idea of sometimes hopelessness or feeling like everything is falling apart, I actually honor that too, because when things in life feel messy or feel unsustainable, it's because they are unsustainable from the infinite perspective. And what I always like to acknowledge is that if something feels unsustainable in my life, if it's falling apart, it has to shed the limitations that I'm desperately perhaps trying to keep in place, because shedding those limitations is going to allow the next expression, the incarnation of the divine, to show up in a new and glorious way. And I think sometimes we get so wrapped up in, oh my gosh, my life feels like I've got to hold it all together. What if you just let go? What if you literally just like, you know what? I don't have to hold it all together. I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to trust. This is where we step from hope into faith. I am going to trust faithfully that I am on the right path at the right time, and everything is flowing forth easily and effortlessly. And that's where we start to engage in the spiritual practice of prayer, of affirmation, and allow ourselves to not just give it lip service, but go on the journey of deepening into the feeling tone of that. Which then leads me to kind of the next part of what you offered. If we are living our best quality of life, we don't have to try to convince anybody else to live that same quality of life or even adhere to the same philosophy that had allowed us to arrive there. But if we are living our best quality of life, I guarantee you are planting seeds for other people. And it's like, I know I reference this all the time, it's like in the movie, do you know the movie When Harry Met Sally? And they're in the diner, and she has her, big O, that's how I will refer to it, pretending. And the woman at the table next to her goes, I'll have what she's having. That's what basically is happening if you're living your high quality of life. Do you have anything? I'm sure you do.
Well, I was just saying in the car last night after, on the way to Tucson from Phoenix. There is something inside of us when we find that thing, when we find our thing that fits our soul, that we want to share it. And that, for me, is oneness. You want to share oneness. And when you find your community, when you find your people, when you find the words that touch your heart, you find that inside. It's all inside of us. And you want to share it. You find something that works for you, you want to share it, right? Everyone who's going through a spiritual awakening has waves of experience, right? Most of you probably don't know my story. I came to New Thought, broken and wounded. I had been suffering from chronic anxiety disorder and severe depression for over 20 years. I lived in darkness. I believed I was unworthy of anything. I was unworthy of hope. How not true is that? And living in that for so long, you find little seeds along the way, little crumbs. Oh, I found some hope. Oh, I found some hope. Oh, I found some hope. Oh, I have so much hope now that there's trust here. I'm pulling on trust now. And living with that kind of anxiety for that long, like I can just say with absolute faith, it gets better. When we find the right books, when we find the right people, there's something inside of it. That seed that's already been planted by the divine that's in us is everything we need. And so finding our own worthiness and experiencing that. But after all of that, I am so radically and profoundly grateful for everything I've experienced, everything I've experienced. It was good fertilizer for the ginormous rose bush that is before you now. It was perfect, all of it. Of the dropping of the last cup of rice I had, the eviction notice, the friend who said, you can sleep on my couch until you find something better. Every part of it is life that is right here for us to experience. And so definitely looking out into the greater world, the external world right now, yeah, we need some more hope. And we can find it when we look for it because there are amazing people in the world right now who see the darkness and say, I am the light. And so that's what we get to do. We get to see those examples and see that there is light in everything, even the 6 months of living in someone's basement and not leaving the house. All of it is for me. And if it wasn't for me, it wouldn't be before me. So it gets better.
It does. There's a word that comes to mind that gets tossed around a lot. Sherry's going to come and adjust your microphone a little.
Thank you.
Just scoot to that side of the chair just a little bit, and then we're not sitting.
But there's a word that comes to mind in this conversation that I'm going to invite us all to really take to heart because, first of all, everyone's path is unique. And I would suspect, I'm making some generalized assumptions here, but I would suspect not everybody's path has been 100% rosy. And what is important, I think, is to allow ourselves to remember that through it all, we can have the experience of grace. And that's the word that's really present for me right now.
Yes.
To really be gentle with ourselves on this journey and to not beat ourselves up if we don't feel like we have achieved what the minister on the stage tells us we should have achieved. And that's the thing, like, we talk a lot. And we
talk a lot?
We talk a lot. And one of the things that's always been very important to me in my ministry is to be real.
Yeah.
And to not ever sugarcoat if something is going on, to not, put a New Thought veneer over it and pretend like it's not existing. There's stuff that happens in life that can be hard. And the thing is, the philosophy, the spiritual practice is not meant to make the hard things go away. It's meant to provide for us tools to gracefully grow through the hard times.
Yeah.
And so if you're willing to, here's the thing. If you're willing to be tenacious and keep working the tools will work for you, and it's going to be a compounding effect. At first, it's going to maybe feel a little uncomfortable. Oh, I took this prayer class, and I'm supposed to pray with these 5 steps, and here's all the things that I'm supposed to, and we get ourselves into a tizzy about it. It's like, no, just know what, speak truth.
Yeah.
That's what prayer is. It is speaking spiritual truth into being. Yeah. And it is not about changing or manipulating anything in the world of form. It's about addressing that which is within our minds and hearts so that a fundamental shift happens within us. And then what the philosophy teaches is that when we are fundamentally shifted within, and there is a level of faith, and that faith I would define as an idea so inwardly embodied it cannot be denied, then what shows up in form is the reflection of that which is within. So rather than trying to change that, we're always addressing that which is here.
And remember, it's called spiritual practice.
Practice, yes.
Not spiritual doneness.
Right.
Right? We are a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. Mm-hmm. And you don't wake up one morning and go, you know what? I'm going to run the Boston Marathon today.
Right.
You don't. You say, it's 5 years from now, I'm going to be able to run 26 miles.
Yeah. We have a Camino Club that's just started, right?
Yeah.
For people who may want to walk a portion of the Camino. And we started the club because we're talking about doing that in August of 2026. And even if you've never walked 6 miles or 7 miles or 8 miles a day for 10 days in a row, I don't suggest you try it out of the gate without starting to condition your body. That's what spiritual practice is. It's about conditioning the heart and mind.
Yeah.
So, does that help? Awesome.
And I really hate public speaking. Can you guys hear me? Ooh.
Yes, because the microphone has been turned on.
And tied into that, I highly recommend everybody watch the interview with Stephen Colbert and Anderson Cooper. I don't know if you guys, Stephen Colbert lost his father and his brother in a plane crash when he was a little boy. And it's a beautiful, wonderful interview, but the punchline that Stephen Colbert said was, I learned to be grateful for the thing that I learned to be grateful for the thing that I most wish had not happened. Did I say that right? You get the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that.
I'm so grateful to be here right
I'm so happy you're here. So what's really strange, we have not been physically in the same room since 2017.
I think it was 2018.
What happened in 2018? See, now we're going to go into a little thing.
Irvine.
That was 2017.
But I got ordained in 2018.
Yeah, but Irvine was in 2017 because I had...
We're also
This is also what happens on the rant.
We're very sibling-like.
Yeah.
Spiritual fighting?
Spiritual sibling rivalry. I don't know.
It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time, like, he's tall, right? And I'm only 5'6". And so every time, you want to do this?
Because on the computer screen, we look like we're the same.
We're the same height.
But we forget that there's this height difference.
Yeah.
And we see each other, we're like, wait a second.
Every time we meet in person, I would hug him and be like, oh my God, you're giant. And this time we hugged and I was like, you're not so tall.
She did say that at the airport when I picked her up.
Oh, yeah.
You're not so tall.
You used to be taller.
It's actually probably true.
Yeah, and I've grown since then, for sure. Yeah, because my goal is definitely 5'9".
All right.
There's time.
There's time.
I'm only 48. There's time. Oh, yeah. Okay. Anything else? Let's see.
Anything online? We have some where we were able to look at some of the chat.
Yeah.
Maybe there's...
My mom said, good morning, Tucson.
Good morning, Tucson.
And now I'm just watching me pick up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So do you want to pull a card? Deep
card. We can do a card. We can do a random reading out of the book. We can do our...
Oh, let's do a random reading.
Okay. Which book do you want?
Obviously, you know.
I don't know. I'm not a mind reader.
Divine Audacity.
Divine Audacity, okay. So Divine Audacity, which was written by Linda Martella Whitsitt, who is a Unity minister. There's essentially page 1 through 214. Give me a page number.
187.
Was that the same page number from when I happened to use this last time? 187.
We'll know in a minute.
It is not. All right, so there's 2 quotes and the beginning of a paragraph, because it's the beginning of a chapter. What would you like me to read? The beginning of the chapter. Children like disassembling toys to see what's inside. I loved to rip everything apart, right, Dad? I would take everything. He's like back there.
Still do. I still do.
I would take everything apart. Okay, sorry. No, I'm just having this memory. So it's the late 70s, early 80s, and I got an alarm clock as a little child. And it was an alarm clock that had like figurines of C-3PO and R2-D2. And when the alarm would play, it would be like R2-D2 doing his little beep, boop, bleep, boop, 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 and then C-3PO, it is time to wake up. So I don't know what it said, but I didn't care about the alarm clock. I wanted to see how it all worked, so I literally ripped that alarm clock apart, because that's what we do.
That's what we do.
Children like disassembling toys to see what's inside. Curious minds endeavor to know the mechanisms at work behind the scenes. Humans have always, and probably always will, strive to see smaller and smaller building blocks of life, as well as larger and larger spans of space. That's the first paragraph. What comes up for you in that? Because there's something spiritual that resonates with me.
Yeah, well, it takes us right back to the be here now. When the monkey mind, that's how I described my my depressed, anxious mind, was a monkey juggling hamsters riding a unicycle. And so you see there's everything, there's life that's out there, and it can be crazy, but it's the mind that sees all of that external experience, and we get to focalize and disseminate and discern and pick things apart so that we can come back to our wholeness, return to the one. So that's, like, for me, my mind is a kid in a candy store now. It's like, oh, that thought could send me here, or it could send me here, and I get to pick apart what that is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. When I was studying, there are 2 parts to this. I remember when I took the Emerson's essays class, the very first time I took the class as a student, one of the essays that we had to read, although when I teach the class now, I don't have students read this essay, I don't know why, but we had to read the essay Circles. And in that essay, there's kind of this idea of everywhere you look, every experience you have is a circle. It is kind of like we live as the center and circumference of all things, and everything is the center and circumference of all things. We talked about this in the practitioner class a little bit on Monday night. And that's kind of a strange concept, because here's the thing. Each and every one of us is the center of the universe.
You know it.
Each and every one of us is the center of the universe, because if the universe is infinite, it has no edges. So we have to be the center. Everywhere is the center of the universe. Everything is the center of the universe. That means each and every one of us is. And when I was seeking God, which is sort of, when I first came into this philosophy, I had a hard time with the idea of, like, God is, not, because I grew up in this culture. God was some being out there, and God had ideas and whims and fancies and judgments and things that it was looking down upon us and having ideas and saying, you're worthy and you're not worthy, and it's because of your behavior. So I was really resistant to the idea of a religious path, and then I found myself in a New Thought community, and I'm being told God is the creative essence of life. It's not a being, it's the beingness. the essence of all that is. And I had a hard time figuring that out. Well, she wrote here, humans have always, and probably always will, strive to see smaller and smaller building blocks of life, as well as larger and larger spans of space. And that resonated with an idea that was related to that Circles essay, where I started considering seeking God, like looking deeply into seeking God. And I thought to myself, well, if I look into a microscope and I see the smallest building blocks of life, and we get down to, electron microscope, and the ways that we are able to see smaller and smaller, and now now you get into the subatomic particles, and you find it's all energy, essentially. That's God, that no matter how much you distill it down to its smallest particle, you will always find divine energy. And if I look out into the cosmos, that it doesn't matter how far or how deep I can look, that all I am ever seeing is that same divine energy. So it works on both the macro and the micro. And that helped me reconcile and release this notion of God as something out there, because here's the thing, how can I be separate from the micro or the macro? I'm part of that infinite wholeness. And so that's the seeking out. This chapter is on the faculty of life. This whole book is the 12 powers. It's a journey through the 12 powers of man as they were articulated by Charles Fillmore. And when we say 12 powers of man, we're not being gender specific. That was the language of the time. It's the 12 faculties of all humanity, which are faculties of divinity. And life is one of those faculties. And so seeking life in the macro and seeking life in the micro is the seeking of God itself.
That brings up a memory of a story in my experience, seeking God. I was still years away from finding this beautiful experience of New Thought. And I woke up one morning to a booming voice that said, "Go to church." And I had been suffering from depression. I was newly single and going through some stuff. And so when I heard that voice, I'd always been a seeker my entire life. And so I went and found a church. And it was a lovely, accepting place. And I started immediately discerning the call. I was like, I wanted to be minister my whole life. So it was a United Church in Canada. And I started doing everything one would do, volunteering, being in book studies. And I had this experience where a gentleman told me that I'm not a true Christian because I don't actually believe in a virgin birth. And so we had a dialogue, and I was like, well, I guess I'm not meant for here. And I was sitting the very next Sunday, and the speaker was a lesbian minister, and so I thought I was in the right place. And all of a sudden, I always sat in the same pew, and people used to sit with me, but that day nobody sat with me. And everything around me kind of went dark. And except for the light on this minister who was saying, the answers aren't out there, they're inside of you. And it was a numinous experience for me. The church roof opened up, and that same voice, said, I'm not in there. Because God's not in a building. I mean, as great as this building is, it's not contained here. And all of our answers are right here. They're in us. And so numinous experiences are definitely something that has helped me along my path. Because if I'm not getting the message, they get louder. Right? Does anyone have that in their life? If you're not listening,
oh no.
If you're not listening, the messages get louder. And I'm done with cosmic 2x4s, so I start listening to the whispers earlier on now. for sure. But yeah, it's seeking the divine outwardly ended that day. Yeah. Little Steffi tidbit.
Yeah. Yeah. This happens too.
This happens too sometimes, yeah.
Oh, just take a moment to just reflect on that. How are y'all doing? Awesome. Yeah. Is there anything else that? Roll the dice. Okay, I hear ya. These are intention dice. Basically, there are five. There are 5 die. What is the dice and die?
Die.
5 die. Is that right?
Yeah.
It sounds weird.
It sounds weird.
Yeah. And on them are words, intentional words. And so there's no way that the camera's going to be able to pick this up, so we're just going to go for it here. And I'm going to do it down here. We roll them, and these are the words that come up. Radiant.
Yes.
Confident.
Yes.
I'm going to put them here. Radiant. Confident. Curious. Ooh. Devoted.
These are some of my favorite words.
And abundant.
Oh, especially that one.
So, tell me about your radiance, Steph.
It's obvious.
Right? I don't disagree with that.
Yeah. My goodness. Radiance for me is just accepting who I am. And, some great advice I received was what other people think of me is none of my business.
Right.
And so that made life easier for sure. And the reminder of that consistent reminder of that is important. So radiance is just accepting who I am, accepting that is the divine in me, and I'm not doing anything. I didn't make this face. God did that. I didn't make this voice. God did that. So I just get to be this and give God a good time.
That's right. Are you giving God a good time? Well, and
working on it.
And I think also if we are willing to accept the light that is within, and that's kind of what this is alluding to, and when we accept the light that's within, then it actually leads us into a state of spiritual confidence, which is that second word, confident. And spiritual confidence is not about bravado, it's not about bluster, it's about knowing the truth of who you are. Our mission here at Unity of Tucson is love only, forgive everything, remember who you are. And remembering who you are is the opportunity to stand firm in spiritual confidence, because you don't have to be anything to anyone else. Yeah. You just need to be the wholeness of you to yourself and for yourself. And we get a rap sometimes of, well, first of all, the bad rap. There's no good or bad.
No good or bad.
The feedback we get sometimes, that's how I'll say it. The feedback we get sometimes is, wow, those people are way too happy. What the heck is going on? There must be something wrong with those people because they're too happy.
I've been accused of being ingenuous or insincere, just because I present the way I present. Yeah,
and the truth is, I think the truth is, we've worked at it.
Yeah.
What is it that we seek in life? Thomas Troward said, the purpose of life is to live in joy.
Yeah.
And so that's up to us. It's not up to anyone else. And if we are living our purpose in life, then we are living confidently from the point of view of remembering who we are, which is the expression of the divine impression upon itself. That's how I sometimes phrase it, right? That we define the word love in the philosophy as the love is the self-givingness of the spirit to itself for the purposes of creation. That love itself is a synonym for creation. And so let us all understand that we are the outflow of love. And love is impressing upon itself. And so it's a constant state of circulation. Curious.
Oh, curiosity is one of my favorite words. Being curious is a lifesaver. It really is. My wife and I used to have a sign over our door before we left the house. Stay curious, because there's other people out there. Like staying curious, including about your own thoughts, right? Don't stick in your mind that even some of your thoughts might be misleading you, and stay curious to all of that. Yeah. Curious George was like a story that we always heard about, and you were always getting into trouble when you're curious. But as an adult, curiosity pays off. We stay, like, how many books, New Thought books, tell us or try to instill in us a childlike wonder. Remember to be childlike. Mm-hmm. And there is a difference between childish, which we see in the world for sure as adults, and childlike. And that childlike wonder is staying, first off, it'll keep you young. It will keep you young, right? If you are have that childlike wonder, I mean, there's people in this philosophy who are in their like 98 years old. They don't look a day over 80. And curiosity is a part of that. Yeah. Just being open and receptive of new ideas, new ways of being, new patterns. Being curious of what would my life look like if I let that go? What would my experience look like if I shifted this one thing in my life? How could I move everything? What could change? Am I doing it again?
Shift that down a little bit. It's just the air on the microphone element itself. It's okay. We can handle that.
We can
a little puff of air.
Handle some pops. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, I gave a talk a couple months ago about Curious George. You bring up Curious George. I talked about Curious George in a talk on a Sunday, and the whole month was the theme. The theme of the month was curiosity, and I talked about Curious George getting into all that trouble, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that comes up for me around curiosity is. One of the things that appealed to me early on in the New Thought philosophy, which is if you consider the world your laboratory, you can always stay in the state of experimentation. And we don't have to relegate ourselves to what we think we know, because this is a philosophy about new thought and allowing something new to emerge and express and expand. Well, I think that one of the greatest ways that can unfold is to live a curious life, to always be asking questions. And my favorite question from the point of view of curiosity is this one: what wants to be known here? If I'm in an experience, I will oftentimes just ask myself, what wants to be known here?
Yeah.
And then listen for the answer and allow something to well up from within to answer that question. Mm-hmm. What wants to be known here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peg Bobber's watching.
Hi, Peg.
She says the energy here is contagious.
Yay! We have contagious energy.
Finally, something good.
Something good.
Contagious.
Yes. Yeah. I'm devoted.
Devoted. Oh, these are some of great words. The word devotion has always been something for me, feeling devoted. And when it was probably more looking towards that external expression of the divine, where feeling like, I had to be devoted to something. But devotion, I wish my wife, Reverend Tammy, was here, because she talks about devotion in such a beautiful way. But devotion is like, just being in awe, being present, and committed. Like, I love being convicted, convicted, and committed to my path, my journey, to the experience that wants to be revealed from me, and devoting my time, my energy, my awareness, my intention to something greater than me. I mean, it's beautiful. Devotion in the sacred is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about Grease.
Grease, yeah.
Not the country, the movie, the musical.
Yeah.
When Olivia Newton-John sings, hopelessly devoted to you. Which I always wanted, like when I had a VHS tape of that movie, I would always want to skip through that song because I thought, oh, it's a boring love song. This is when I was a kid, right?
Ew.
Ew. She's singing
Romance.
a boring love song. Now I love that song. I think it begs the question, what is it that I am finding myself devoted to?
Yes.
And to remind myself that I am not devoting myself to anything external. You know, that's not at all what we're about, to find that sense of devotion within the self. And to what is it that I'm devoted to? Well, frankly, I'm devoted to the expression of loving kindness.
Yeah.
That in the experience and the circumstances of life, which can be challenging sometimes, right? Challenge
A little
ever?
bit, yeah, for sure.
That maintaining a devotion to the expression of love and kindness is what helps me navigate the challenges in life. And it's not always easy.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I know it'll come as a shock to everyone.
Okay.
But I do get frustrated sometimes.
What?
And I do get irritated sometimes. And I do get upset sometimes. But what I have found is that the devotion to the path in this spiritual practice has lessened the effect, the adverse effect of those emotions expressing forth. And I much more quickly move from that to reminding myself of who I am. And, it's, you know, I know I've talked about it before. That's what I call narrowing the gap.
I call it my rebound time.
Yes. So something happens in the world of form. Oh, I'm so angry and upset about this. Well, there's a spiritual solution to that thing out there. And what I'm talking about is, you know, at first it may take significant amount of time to get from here to over here. But as I engage in the practice in a devoted way, I narrow that gap until I realize, oh, I've had an experience, I'm having an emotional reaction to that experience, and I can more immediately know the spiritual truth that is the answer to that experience. And I don't let myself get derailed as quickly as I used to, or for as long as I used to. But that takes practice. It takes practice, and I'm still working at it every single day.
Every single day. Yeah, you guys think we're the experts up here. We practiced this morning.
Yeah.
Right? We practiced
well, let's face it. So having, you know, I got so irritated with a technical problem on our computer system this morning. I mean, I could very easily have let it derail all of the day, but you know what? Here's the thing. If we allow ourselves to settle into the quiet understanding that there is a spiritual solution for every perceived problem, because if we perceive it as a problem, there must be a solution. Otherwise, we wouldn't perceive it as a problem. Think about that.
Right.
There are things in our lives that we define as problems. Well, there has to be a polar opposite to that problem that's called the solution. And so if we're willing to say, oh, I see that there's an issue here, there's absolutely a solution to that issue, and let go of the notion that it is an adverse, horrible thing that's happened. You know, we could have said, well, I could have thrown my hands up today, said we're having a technical issue, we can't do the rant online, it's going to be for just the people in the room, and you know, I could have gone about my day and been really upset about it. Nope, found a solution.
There's
there are people
always
who
a
are
way.
joining us online, and so grateful for that.
Yeah, there's always a way.
There's always a way.
I like words like solution too, because like scientifically, we're scientists. I love science. A solution is something that you put things into, right? And so you put the problem into the solution, and the problem dissolves. So there's a little kindergarten science thing for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of this it's so amazing. Like the rebound time is, life is happening. Life is happening. How we engage with it is our experience. And everything that bumps up against me, like technical difficulties, is polish. I always think about my relationship with my wife. We've been married over 12 years and together for 17. And in the beginning, we were not new thoughters. We started our relationship, and a month later, we were like, you know what? Coming from where we both came from in our experiences, we knew we wanted to put God first. And so 1 month into our relationship, we found the Center for Conscious Living in Winnipeg, Manitoba. And so we took all the classes together. And how great to have like a study buddy who's going to also poke all of your buttons because they learn all the buttons to press, right? So that is a beautiful relationship. And so we always used to talk about it being rocks in a tumbler. And so you put rough rocks into a tumbler, and they themselves polish themselves up, right? They remove the jagged edges and smooth everything out. And then you open up the canister and you have these magnificent polished stones. And that's a beautiful opportunity to be all of these things in relationship. And that's my wife and I, but that's every relationship I have. Every relationship. If something is being pokey at me, what a great learning opportunity I'm about to enter into. Because if it's poking me, if it's on then I still have some jagged edges that need some polish. And I'm so grateful that for everyone who's willing to bump into me like angels and help me be better at who I'm meant to be. And so that's devotion, for sure. And just rocks in a tumbler, just moving through life, experiences, this is a new experience. Stay curious. Remember that this is just an experience. If it was a real experience, you would have been given a manual and had time to study. But here we are, right? So we just get to play in life. And that's every day there's something. Returning back to ourselves, returning back to love. Because, people, they're in the world with us.
You know what I love about not having a manual, though, is that I'm writing the manual as I go.
Yes.
And, there are things that will work and continue to work, but as soon as they don't work, I can also delete that from the manual and move forward with something new. So it's a constant state. It's in a constant state of revision.
Yeah.
Yeah. That last word is abundant.
Abundance. Abundance, prosperity. Oh, you want me to talk about abundance?
Tell me about abundance.
Well, I've been homeless. I've been in a very lack experience. I've had those experiences. And someone just said, try counting, go to sit at that beach, go sit on this beach. And I want you, by the end of the day, to have counted every grain of sand. And you're like, I'm never going to do that. Because there's too many. And so that's life. Life has all these beautiful opportunities. And for me, the more I count my blessings I have right now, isn't it amazing how more abundant I become? The more abundant I feel inside of myself, the more abundance shows up. It's like I'm a magnet.
You are.
For my good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, true prosperity. I teach a class using spiritual economics that's also right here, and intersect it with the Tao Te Ching, which I didn't bring my copy of, and the science of mind. And because true prosperity, it's not about what's in your bank account or what's in your wallet or what jingles in your coin purse. True prosperity is the feeling. It's a feeling. It's an embodiment. It's like just basking in an abundant universe that is always creating It's creating more right now. The things that created human consciousness are at the depths of the ocean right now, still creating new life forms. Still. They've been working at it for trillions of years. And they're like, yeah, I got more. I've got more to give. That same nature, that's there, is right here. I have more to give. And if I have more to give, I have more to receive. And if I have more to receive, I have more to give. And it's never ending. Trillions of years from now, it's still going to be present and still going to be creating.
Mm-hmm. It actually sort of takes me back to kind of where we started the rant today, which is the nature of living in awe. That if we can really understand the nature of abundance is everywhere present. I mean, in its infinite nature. I mean, we talk about it being infinite. What's more abundant than infinity? I mean, there is
2 infinities.
Touche. You know what's even more abundant than that? Infinite infinities.
Oh my God. I took it there and then you just took it further.
Just taking it further.
Yeah.
But it is a reminder. It's an invitation, a reminder to me to continue to look around and understand that I live in the expression and experience of abundance. I don't need to try to make it happen. I don't need to try to force anything into being. I don't need to try to... how many of us have tried to force more money into our bank account by working harder, working longer, getting the overtime? Like, allow ourselves to, again, go to the state of grace.
Yeah.
And begin to open up to the recognition and the realization that we are inherently abundant because it's the universe we live in.
Yeah.
And it is our frame of mind around accepting that infinite abundance at the wholehearted level, which is in a feeling state. And and if we look at the circumstances, we may derail ourselves. You know, if I look at my bank account, I mean, I might go, oh gosh, I only have X amount of money in my bank account. Well, that may be an energetic derailment for allowing more expression of increase in my life. It's all up to me.
Especially if we still have that little voice inside our head that is the sabotage.
The inner saboteur,
the
as RuPaul would call it.
Yes.
Inner saboteur, yeah.
Yeah, because that's the work. Yeah. Quieting that little monkey juggling hamsters.
Like if we just, you know what, I'm going to invite us all. Let's just take a breath. Just take a breath. Just relax right where we are. And let's actively release any preconceptions or notions from the past, letting go of any anticipation for anything to unfold in the future. Let's allow ourselves to really engage in being present. And just starting to notice. Just notice. Notice what you hear. Whether your eyes are open or closed, notice what you see. Just notice. Notice if you have the sensation of taste. What are you tasting right now? Just notice. What do you feel? What's the tactile experience you're having? Maybe you're feeling the armrest, a wooden armrest, or the upholstery of the seat. Maybe you're feeling the clothes on your body. Maybe you're feeling the air against your skin. Just notice. Just notice. What you're noticing is abundance. And then begin to notice what you notice. What are the ideas that exist in that awareness state at the back of your mind? What do you notice about what you notice? We live in absolute abundance. It is everywhere present. We are part of that absolute abundance. We can never be separate from. And if we are seeking increase in form, let us be reminded that the increase in form is the construct of noticing the inherent abundance that already exists within mind and heart. And it is reflected all around each and every one of us in the expression and experience of our lives. And what a magnificent thing to notice. And so when you're ready, open your eyes and just allow yourself the sensation of that deeper understanding of what abundance truly means. Abundance is an inside job, and it will demonstrate itself in your experience as prosperity. But it begins with, for me, noticing. Yeah.
For the taste one,
Mm-hmm.
in that moment, Sherry Hoffman gave me a candy.
Was it one of the little coffee candies?
Yes, and it, like when you said taste, like it was like I had the candy back in my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she keeps those on her desk here.
Oh, I know exactly where they are.
And sometimes I pretend like I have to say something to her just so I can walk in and grab one of the candies off her desk. Now you know, Sherry.
Now you know.
Not that it was a secret.
There's going to be a tip jar next to it from now on.
You should put a tip jar out for the candies. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. That was lovely.
Thank you.
And it calmed me right down. I was getting a little
Were you getting a
vibrated.
little?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything else that's coming up for any of you? You feeling good?
We did make it over an hour for sure.
Yeah, I feel good. Well, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm so grateful to have your physical presence in this space.
I know, it's so...
Right here where I can touch you.
See how cold I am?
You are very cold.
All the time.
Yeah.
I'm going to move to Tucson.
I think you should move to Tucson.
Yeah. Don't tell my wife.
It's in the ethers now. Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, I love it here. And I love that so many of you, I got to know you online already, from opportunities to be at the RANT or wake up, say thank you.
Yeah, and so Wake Up, Say Thank You is your daily.
It's my daily.
Yeah. So, and that...
Weekdays.
Weekdays, Monday through Friday.
I take the Sabbath off.
And it goes, so we have to always adjust it. So you go live, what time Central? 10 a.m. Central?
No, it's 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific.
Yeah, so Steph goes live at 10 a.m. Central. So right now, if you're in Arizona and you want to catch Steph online live Monday through Friday, it's at 8 o'clock Arizona time. When they all go off of their daylight savings, it will then be at 9 o'clock Arizona time. So we always have to try to make that adjustment here.
Yeah.
'Cause we're the crazy ones.
Well, I think Manitoba really should join Arizona in that don't change the time.
There's
It's the center of the country.
A lot of call for, the elimination of that.
Because we all know time is an illusion.
Yes.
I just traveled through it yesterday. I traveled through time, right? I got on the plane in the future in Arizona.
That's true.
And then I arrived in the past.
I have to wrap my head around that because I kind of get it. But yeah, that's a deep thought.
I know, because time is an illusion.
Yeah.
We measure it
But
so that we arrive on time.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, you're in the presence or being aware of something or being in curiosity or devotion when you start something and then 4 hours later you're like, oh, I should eat some lunch.
4 hours later, where did all that time go?
Where did that time go?
It never existed to begin with, so it didn't go anywhere.
It didn't go anywhere.
But you're online on Facebook, on YouTube.
Facebook, YouTube,
at One Love Awakening. And it's the number one, right?
It's the number one.
Number one, Love Awakening.
Yep.
Our
Our website has all that good stuff.
Yes, oneloveawakening.com.
Oneloveawakening.com.
So you can find stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about Unity of Tucson. You can find all the things for me at Unity of Tucson or unitytucson.com. Just to be clear, because the of does not exist in our domain registered domain name. unitytucson.com. I'm also all over Facebook. I'm all over YouTube. The rant
You
goes
can
live.
just Google us.
Yeah, you can just Google us. You'll find us. The other thing is, I'm actually about to say this out loud.
Oh.
I'm not going to whisper it. It has become, so something has been stirring within me, which is to bring the mindful moment back. And, you know, I found conscious completion of the mindful moment some months ago. Maybe even a year. It's been like a year, I guess.
It's been about a year, yeah.
And something is stirring within me to bring the mindful moment back. So that's what I tend to do on a daily basis, or I used to do on a daily basis for many years. So you heard it here first. I don't know when I'm going to start it, but clearly it's...
Divine timing.
Yes, in divine time.
There's a couple comments. I don't have my glasses.
Oh, okay. Peg, you two are a gift to me and so many others. Please know that you are both my gifts of abundance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peg.
Yes. Your mom, a
Peg
grateful
is
heart.
on the One Love Awakening Leadership Council.
Your mom wrote, a grateful heart wants for nothing.
A grateful heart wants for nothing.
Yeah.
My mom is the original memer. When I was a kid, in fact, I brought them as bookmarks even on this trip. When I was a kid, she would always hand me things, and little things like little prayers, little affirmations, or she'd find an angel with watching over children, and it has a poem on the back. And so I still have these things from when I was a kid. And my favorite one I talk about all the time is a sailboat in a sunset. And it's an old postcard. She would tape something over top of the back to repurpose, right? You cannot reach new horizons if you fear to leave the shore. You cannot reach new horizons if you fear to leave the shore. I was like 8. Yeah, and then I developed an anxiety disorder, so that's fascinating.
Well, on that note,
but I still have. She's my original memer. She's always, and she still sends me memes. Now they're just digital, and so there's 2 of them in the books that I brought with me. I wanted to make sure they were in the air with me on the flight, and so bringing a little piece of my mom everywhere I go.
Glorious.
Yeah.
So you're going to join me on Sunday.
I am.
Steph is going to be a special guest as part of our service on Sunday.
I get to be on the stage twice.
Yes. And we'll look forward to, would love to have you here for that as well. But I think we have found our time of completion for this week's rant.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful for this opportunity to
So
be with
grateful.
you.
Yes.
And we'll be back for the rant next week, but you'll be back in Winnipeg.
I'll be back in Winnipeg.
And I'll be in my office, and we will go from there.
We'll go from there.
What a delight.
I think this should probably be an annual.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yes, we should definitely make this a regular thing.
Until I convince my wife to move here.
Yeah. So, peace and blessings to you all. I think we have our outro video, which we can roll. There it goes, just like we do online.
Yeah. And then we dance a little bit more. We do chair dancing. I'm the Ellen DeGeneres of New Thought.
What does that make me? The Porsche?
The Porsche? I thought you were the gay Michael Beckwith.
The white gay Michael Beckwith in the Sonoran Desert?
Yeah.
I don't know. We do have some refreshments in Harmony Hall. If you'd like to join us, we can chat further in there. You
Yeah,
can get
we
to know us
can.
a little bit more. So thank you all for being here.